Welcome to Listen.
Teacher Chatter.
This is Robin.
And Jill.
And she's actually back.
That's right. Laura, you cannot take my job.
Listen, Laura did a great job, but I did miss you.
She did a fabulous job.
It felt weird without you, but she did a great job.
We did talk about if one of us isn't here and the other has to be. It's almost like you're cheating.
It does feel that way. It's like, is this okay? It's like, should I laugh? Should I laugh with Laura? Because it feels like I should laugh with her. It's like, it seems wrong.
Well, she did a great job.
Yeah.
I mean, and she tried to come in today and I was like, get out of the room. Okay.
You know what? She's very pushy like that. I'm glad you stayed strong.
Very aggressive. Very aggressive. Oh, man. All right.
Well, listen. Okay.
I did like that you made her go first, too.
I know. I
know you're a guest, but you're going first.
I was like, you know what? I'm the boss today. So you know what? You're going to go first.
So here I am.
Here you are.
Still boss.
You're the boss.
Okay. Well, I will go first.
Okay.
And I'm going to go with my low first.
Yeah.
We have had all these snow days, which I have appreciated in a lot of ways. Now, I say snow days. What do they actually call it? Weather days? What have they been calling it?
In my heart, it'll always be snow days.
Yeah.
But inclement weather.
That seems like it's on the right path.
Could be a word I made up too.
Yeah. I don't feel like it's going to come off the tongue right. So bad weather. Bad weather has caused us to not be in school. And so the kids don't know how it is to be back at school.
Yes, I agree.
And so although I have enjoyed my time and it's allowed me to get some of my own schoolwork done.
I know. I actually thought you should be thanking me. I've been giving you a day off almost every day since you started the school.
I have. I've had enough days. And then I keep thinking, though, like my professors, I'm like, now don't get any ideas. I will
not this good.
I won't be the first one to turn things in all semester long. So at some point, they'll probably ask me, why is your assignment not turned in on Tuesday? You know, I'm like, well, real life is here now. So as much as I've enjoyed those days off, the kids coming back have been crazy.
It's like they don't remember anything.
No. And today I was with my students and they were crazy. And I thought, oh, is this why people despise third quarter? Was I lying the other day?
You know what?
That's what I thought. I was like, wait, I thought I really liked third quarter. What has happened to my children?
Yeah. Because you know what? In third quarter, you think they should know it being this smooth.
Yeah.
But when you have 42 snow days, what do you expect?
Right. And so I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt and they're going to turn it around very soon. But whew.
I know.
It's been extra. They have been extra. And I love them, but they have been extra.
Yeah, I actually agree 100%.
So I have two. One of them I'm going to save.
Okay.
To go along with our episode today.
Which is very exciting.
It is very exciting.
This is exciting news.
So if you are listening, you want to keep listening.
Yeah, because we have some exciting news.
Mm-hmm. But my second one that I am going to share is that my team that I used to work with at the elementary setting at North, we got together. We try to do it at least once a year around Christmas time, get together, go out and have dinner and just have a good time. And what I love about that is we all actually still work in the same building.
Yes.
But we are in different roles and all over the place. But when we come back together, it is like no time has left. And we just pick up where we left off. We laugh, we joke, we do all the silly things and just
is the night. That's the best.
And enjoy each other's company. You know, like I think that's when you know that you really have good friends, great friends. When time can pass, months, maybe even years at times. And nobody makes you feel bad about it.
No.
We just recognize this is the stage of life.
Life is busy, yes.
But when you get together, you just enjoy the time.
Yeah.
Like I loved it. So shout out to my old Northies, 5th grade Northies.
That's nice.
Yeah. What about you?
Well, you know what? My low is my daughter. I was like, do I say this or do?
Yeah, I know. I felt like she was trying to decide which low she was going to go with.
I did, but I feel like I'm still be kind of transparent here.
Yeah.
But my youngest, you know, she is going through with some worries and things, and there is nothing harder as a mom to see your kids struggle with worries and anxiety and doing all these things and not be able to fix that for her. And you know, it's just hard as a mama. Yeah. And it just kind of remind me of like our kids at school go through this too. Yeah. And sometimes you have to step back and relax. And, you know, she has been being very devoted in her reading the Bible every day, and she has a friend that they do a Bible study. They read through every day. They read 2 chapters of the Bible. Then they meet at the end of the week and they go over what they talked about.
Yeah.
And so she's been, and I told her, I was like, this is just the devil trying to discourage you, because you are trying to be the growing with God and do it. And this is just the devil wanting you to be overwhelmed, wanting you to be discouraged, wanting you to feel like God is not faithful to you. And she's like, yeah, I know. But she's like, Mom, I just pray and I just can't seem to get these worries out of my mind. And it's just been really hard this week, because you just love your kids so much, and you just hate that. But on the good thing is, she texted me. We had a long talk. She A+'s me, and she came over and she's actually very teary-eyed. And he's like, Mom, I'm just really struggling. I was like, so she talked about some more, and we talked. And later this afternoon, she texted, she said, Mom, I feel so much better. I talked to you again. She's like, I feel really a lot better, and I love you so much. And I was like, sometimes we just need to take the time and listen, and people just need to talk about things and stuff. So that's been my low this week. It's just that I hate that she has to go through that. And it was funny because she was talking to me about her friends, and she's like, 4 of her friends, they were saying, oh, this happens to me all the time. And I was like, I don't think we realize that, especially these junior high and high school and even middle kids, they carry a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress in their life. And that's a lot for a child to carry. And even a 16 is still a child. You know what I mean? And I think it's just a good reminder as a teacher that sometimes these kids that are laughing and smiling, they're carrying a lot. And so it's just kind of my low.
And it makes me think about when I was in junior high and high school, because that's when I remember some of those things taking place. But I think like God uses those moments, right? Yeah. Because one, a lot of those things helped me develop into the person that I was, even though it's hard. Yeah. But also, as an adult, we still have those things.
You do. Happen. That's what I told her, too.
So it's good to know that, like, you can get through it, and, like, there is light at the end of the tunnel, you know? And I love that she can come talk to you about that. And I think that's a good reminder for our listeners, too, like, being just that person to somebody. Yeah. If it's your students, if it's your personal kids, just allowing them to kind of vent a little bit. And we're not always going to be able to solve the worries or any of those things, but sometimes just getting it off of our chest, and even our coworkers, get it 100%. Off of our chest can make a huge difference.
Well, and I told her, I said, listen, because she kept saying, I don't know why I pray and God's just not releasing this for me. And I said, you know why? Because God also uses these situations that down the road, a friend's going to come to you and say, hey, I'm overwhelmed. I can't. And you can say, listen, I felt the same way. I had to pray. I had to sing worship music. I had to memorize verses, and God pulled me through. Yeah. And I said, he will use you for someone else. 100%. And that's why we are go through. So it's just a good reminder.
I hate that she's going through it, but I also love that. Just that reminder, life lessons with some of that stuff. Yeah.
All right. And my high, back to, we've had so many snow days, but I'm not going to say my snow day is a high, because we all know it is, because I said last week that we wouldn't be here on Monday, and we were not there on Monday. I know. But man, I have gotten so much done at my house.
Well,
it's so nice. Like when you have, we had 6 days, 5 days, 6
5.
days.
We've had 5.
5, because when you're home a lot, you get kind of bored. You can't watch TV, read it. So you know what? Like, I'm organizing a closet. I've cleaned out the garage area. I've done this. And so it feels so good to get caught up on things. Yeah. And it's just good to feel organized, because you have the time to do it. So that's kind of my high, and just to be ready to go.
You're right, though. Like, originally, the first few snow days, I was reading books.
Yeah, it's just lazy. Like, I deserve this.
Right. And then, like, the last one, or last couple, I was like, what can I get done? Now, I was working on my schoolwork, the other ones, too. But after that, I was like, because I'd worked so hard on those papers. But I definitely organized our office space, got rid of stuff.
Yeah, see? I know.
Man. And just keep on going with that.
I know. You need another snow day?
No, not right now.
I kid.
Yeah, maybe. February.
Yeah, I'm not till February, which is a week away, but go ahead. All right, so this is exciting news. Now listen. This is exciting news for Jill, okay?
Not just me.
It's exciting news for, but you get to share it. It's our exciting news. Is what I mean.
Yeah. Okay,
you know what I mean? Like, I'm excited too. Yeah. And so,
I was like, more people can be excited.
Only Jill cares about this. No one else. No, this is exciting news for everybody, but this is Jill's exciting news. And so this is what we're going to talk about, because I do think we're kind of getting into the season that change and stuff. Yeah. So tell them your exciting news.
Okay. So our listeners know that I have been teaching 5th grade.
Yes.
For 16 years. 16 years. And
same thing all the time.
Yeah. I've loved it.
Yeah.
But next year, I'm going to be doing something different.
Tell them what you're going to be doing.
Okay, so next year in our middle school, I will be our librarian/technology coach. So, hey!
So exciting.
So if you hadn't already heard, there's the news.
Yes.
I told my students, and I kind of started out with, because in that role, they come like 5th grade comes one week and then 6th grade comes the next week. And so I was like, guys, how would you feel about seeing me consistently next year when you're in 6th grade, like every other week? And they were like, oh, wait. And so then they were trying to figure it out. And when I told them, they were super excited. And I will be, I think I'm the only individual that will see every kid in the building consistently. So, although it was hard thinking, like, I love what I do. I love the kids. I love all of those aspects, but, we're going to talk about change and when does that come about, and, I think there's some, I don't want to say like flags, but in the same, some things start kind of gnawing at you.
Yeah.
And so I think those are things that we've got to recognize, and this kind of came about, and I'm excited.
And what's so exciting about this, and this is one thing we don't really talk about this, but a year ago, a position came open. That you kind of for a minute thought about. And Jill and I, we like to share, especially we do it more now. We're not in the same building, it seems like, but we kind of throw things at her, see if it bounces. We toss around ideas and our thoughts and kind of give each other's opinions, and we pray together about certain situations. And I remember you coming to me and saying, this is a position. I'm thinking about it. I just don't have a piece. What do you think, Robin? And I remember saying, Jill, if it's meant to be, you'll know. You'll know. And you're like, okay, that makes me feel better. I said, because with my own position, I wasn't looking. It came up, but I knew without a doubt it was for me to try for at least. And so when she said, she thought about it, we prayed about it together, and she came back and said, I'm not trying for that position. I just don't feel a piece about it. And then this came up. And you said, in my heart, I feel like I'm ready to do something different. I still love teaching. But I feel like this is meant for me. And I said, I think you should do it because that's how you feel. And he's like, it just feels so weird. And we talked about this like several months ago, like before it was even like there was. It wasn't even posted. It wasn't posted yet. Like this position was just like a fill-in this year, wasn't it? So they knew it was going to be posted. Right. But we had talked about it. And we're like, you know what? We'll just pray together and see. And as it got closer, you're like, I feel like I just feel like it. And it was big because you got the job. And so I just love how God really does, even though doors open, it doesn't always mean it's for you. Right. And we were saying earlier that like, if you had tried for that job, you might have got it, but you may wouldn't have been happy because that's not what God wanted you. But because you listened to him and you didn't even try it, he gave you yesterday, I don't know if you heard, but last week I was talking about God's a God of extras. He gives us the things we don't even know ahead. Like when he closes doors and he opens one we don't even know. They're the extra things. And so I'm so excited for you. Like, I feel like this is the perfect thing for you. She is a tech queen. So like,
I don't know that I would say that.
She is a tech queen. Like, so like, I
am a work in progress. I can learn. I can learn all things.
And you're just your positivity and that you get to reach so many kids. Like, it really is. Like, and I just love that God knows what we want. And it gives us the desires of our heart we don't even know. And so that's the best.
And so what kind of, one of the things I wanted to talk about today is, we have a lot of things that we kind of think we're planning out, right? So, for instance, like my master's is in school counseling.
Yes.
If you would have asked me several years ago, I mean, clearly when I got my master's, what I would do after teaching, I would have said, oh, I'm going to be a school counselor. Like, I felt like
that's where,
right. Now looking back, right, hindsight, all those things, I look at it and I go, okay, God allowed me to get that for multiple reasons. I got it done so I could get
more money.
More money. I had it done before my kids were older. And quite frankly, as a teacher, you are a counselor daily.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
And so I've been able to use that.
You need those skills.
Yeah. I've been able to use that all the time. But I think sometimes people kind of force it.
Yes.
And it feels like, because early on in my career, there was a counseling job open, and I went and actually it was in this building. It was at North. And I went and talked to my principal and said, hey, I'm wondering if this is something I need to do. Like, I don't know how often these jobs get open. I think and he was very much like, which I'm like, again, hindsight, I'm pretty sure he didn't want me to leave the building. But he was like, Jill, counseling jobs, they're always open. They can be open. They'll be open.
I feel like
There'll
that's
be
a
other
lie,
ones.
but-
Yeah, I know. Now I'm being in education further. I was only like 2 or 3 years in. But in the same sense, him saying that, and when I started processing, I was like, I love what I'm doing.
Yes.
It did not feel
No.
right. Even though I had the degree, all those things. And in truth, there are jobs that do come open.
Yes.
Right? Like
Yes.
opportunities come.
Yeah.
And so and I love what you said with that, Robin, like we had a lot of conversations about some opportunities last year and it didn't feel right.
No.
And I prayed on it.
Yeah.
Like it was one of those things and I'm like, I did not have peace about it. And I did not know this position was going to be open.
No.
It kind of happened at the very end of the school year, and we call them techbrarians.
Yeah.
We can kind of combine it, right? We've
Yeah.
made jokes about that
Yeah.
before. But she took a job in a different district doing something, I think at a higher level, I guess I want to say, more responsibilities. And but I thought, and it was one of those things like immediately God planted in my head, like, that might be something you would like. And I was like, well, they ended up hiring somebody that was kind of a fill-in that didn't want all the roles, which again was one of those things that gave me time to think about it
and not feel
to
pressure.
pray about it.
Yes.
And it was just one of those things that seeing how God has lined it up, like there's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
And so I think one of those pieces when we talk about change is we do not have to force the change.
And I do think, I was actually talking to somebody this week and we were saying that so many people are jumping to like new jobs and doing different things quickly that I sometimes think people do think the grass is greener, but it's not where you're meant to be.
Yes.
And so I do worry a little bit. And I mostly mean this for more newer teachers sometimes. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but I think they are a little bit more easier to jump and do something different, which is, there's some good things about that.
Yeah.
But I do want to recommend that you do pray about it, because if it's not meant for you, no matter how many times you jump, you're not going to be happy, because you're not going to be where God's calling you to be at that time.
Yes.
Now, you might be in a position that God's not calling you where you are right now. Like you might have jumped into this one and it's not meant to be.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you shouldn't try for jobs.
Right.
But when you see something, it is important to really pray about it and see if you have a peace, because you don't want to jump from job to job to job just trying to find your happiness, because that's never going to happen.
Right.
You want to be where God wants you to be.
Well, I had a practicum student years ago, and it was interesting. Here she was a practicum student, not even a student teacher, and she was already planning. She wanted to get her master's in admin as soon as she got done with her teaching degree, because she wanted to be a principal as quickly as she could.
Yeah.
And I stopped her and I said, okay. I said, it's okay that you eventually want to do that. I said, but let me ask you, why are you getting into education? And she was like, well, because I really love being around kids and the impact I can have. And I said, let yourself get settled in that.
Yes.
Because in different roles, my role is going to be different.
It is. Yes.
It is going to be different. And I know that. I'm a relationship person with kids, all those things. And I know some of those things are going to change for me in this role, but it's going to be different. It doesn't have to be bad.
No.
And I know I can still form relationships with kids and all those things, but that's one of the things that I agree. Sometimes they have these big ideas.
Yes.
Again, I got my master's in counseling within like 2 or 3 years of teaching. And I thought about it, but I didn't end up going in that direction with it. And I have been so blessed for my 16 years of teaching and being a part of fifth graders' lives. And I've enjoyed it. I did not know, if you would have asked me a year or two ago if I would be out of the classroom, I probably would have been like, no, like I can be in the classroom for 30 years.
Yes.
Like I love it. But it was just, I could hear the whispers from God, really, like just kind of directing me in that way. And I've had people come to me and be like shocked that I was even thinking about getting out of the classroom. And this is not to compliment myself, but there's the comments that are, but you're so good in the classroom with kids. Like, why are you wanting to change that? And I'm just like, it's something different. And I feel like I can impact in different ways. And
you and I have talked about when this came up, and we talked about how God started stirring your heart. Because like we said, even you have said forever, like, I'll teach forever. I love what I do. But this year you felt like there was a stirring slowly before you even considered this. It was a stirring. And so I just think people need to remember, don't just jump ship quickly just because you think a situation is not where you want to be in, or you think something looks better on the other. just make sure you pray about it. And it might be, I mean, this is
Yeah.
the perfect situation that was meant to be, but just make sure you do those things.
Well, and I think if you're going to change something, look into it further.
Yeah.
Before I even considered applying for it, I went and talked to my principal. And actually and this was back in October when I really was like, okay, I think I'm to the point where I want to talk to him about this. And I had messaged him like, hey, I want to talk to you about something, which I know is like the worst thing to do, because then they're
We
like,
hate it both ways.
yeah, we do. But maybe I did it on purpose just so
Yeah.
that he knows. No. But and he came down, he kind of got busy, but then he met me in the hall and he's like, hey, you want to talk? And I'm like, well, I can't really, because we're in the hallway.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to talk here. And I said, yeah, but probably not here in the hallway. And he's like, well, can you just give me an idea? And I was like, well, and I said,
Yeah.
I'm considering
Uh-huh.
this job. And you could see his eyes were like, whoa, like kind of
Yeah,
shocked
yes.
that I was considering it. But then we had conversation.
Yeah.
I asked all the things that I wanted to know about.
Yes.
I researched the position.
Yeah.
I researched, my certification, and that's
Yeah.
why I'm in school. Okay.
Surprise!
Surprise! I'm working on a certification for it. But when I went through all the things, and the things I was nervous about too, I was very open about.
Yes.
These are the things that I'm not super like. Tell me more about this.
Yeah.
Because in every job,
Yeah.
there's things that are not.
There are pluses and minuses to both jobs.
Yes.
Every job.
And you've got, but I think you need to be realistic in
You
that.
do. Oh, 100%. And you want people to speak truth of what the job is.
Yeah.
And what it's because you don't want to jump in and then be like, I didn't think about that. I didn't think
Yeah.
about that. But especially, I think, when we're really happy in what we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how I was. I loved first grade. I loved my team.
Yeah.
I was still happy. I felt like God was stirring for me to do something different. But honestly, I wasn't looking. And
Yeah.
that's the same thing you were. You know what I mean? And so it's hard to walk away from your team and the
Yes.
job you love. It's different when you're not happy. 'Cause
Right.
then you're like, take me, whatever
Yeah.
you give me. Like, I'll clean the bathroom.
Which you
That's a
still
great
should
job.
pray about,
Yeah,
people,
you
okay?
still
Sometimes
should.
we work through the hardships.
But when you're happy, it is hard to make that jump that ship and do something different because you're not miserable in what you were doing. You
Right.
know.
And so I think that's it. Like, but it was crazy. Like, the one of the pieces for me, and I'll just, there's an extended contract with it, which means less days in the summer with my boys,
Yeah.
and that was one of my concerns.
Yeah.
I want,
And it's
my
quite a few
summertime.
more days. It's not
Yeah.
just like a week. It's several weeks. And
Sean and I had a lot of conversations about it. But this is where, like, again, the Holy Spirit and God just giving you peace, because that was my biggest concern of it. And I spent time kind of proing and conning list of all those things, and then just praying on that specific aspect. Like, God, you need to make me feel better about this.
yes.
Because I have guilt
Yes.
about that.
Yeah.
And I have, a lot of different feelings
Yeah.
about it. And it was just, and I say it was wild, but this is just, again, where you have that, God just gave me a complete peace.
Yeah.
And when he gave me a complete peace on that part, it alleviated this weight on me where it was like, no, that's
It's
okay.
It'll be fine.
Yeah, this is going to be fine. And that's whenever that peace came into play. And so,
And I'm not going to lie. I'm actually really happy because remember last year when we recorded for the next week, she's being like, oh, I still got 2 more vacations. Oh, I'm going away for the weekend still. And I've been at school for like 3 million weeks ahead of time. She has the same schedule as I
That
do.
is
So you know what? I
Oh
will
my
be so happy.
God.
So when she's like, I just got back from camping. I'll be like, no, you didn't. You were working over there because we're back at the same time.
Yes, the truth, the truth. Okay, so I think one of the things we want to talk about that too was not just a change in roles and all those things, but when you are in that mode, and we've talked about interviewing
Yes.
before.
Yeah.
I just hadn't done it
I
in
know.
like 17 years.
Oh my gosh, it's
because
so
I've
hard.
been doing this for 16
I know.
and I hadn't interviewed since
No.
since 17 years.
It's so hard. I mean, honestly, it is so hard. And we talk about it's worse when you're we said that it's good and bad of interviewing people that is,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Everybody in on the committee knows me well.
And it's one of those things that's like, part of it's nice because, my friend Nikki just got a new position and she took Nicole Amson's job and she had an interview with all of us. She said, part of it's good because no matter if you don't do great in an interview, they know your work ethic, who you are, they know really well because they have. But then again, on the other hand, you don't want to seem dumb.
Yeah.
And like you're a crappy interview. They're like, well, was she a good teacher? Because she did not come across as a good. So there's that stress because you want the people that you work with to
respect
and think, wow, she's great at what she does.
Right.
So it is. I think both sides are hard about that.
And so I guess we are in the season where all these changes are taking place. And I know that some of you might be considering a change in position. We're obviously going to say, pray about it. And like, God will give you the peace if it's the right thing. And talk like with people like your mentors or whatever it may be, people that you can trust and bounce some things off of. Robin definitely was one of those people for me, and I'm grateful for that. But when you go into the interviews too, I think like you need like preparation is huge.
Oh yeah.
I went online and looked up. I didn't know what they were going to be asking me. And I printed off all kinds of questions for this.
Did you go back to our old podcast and get some good?
Well, I didn't even do that. No, because I was like, I felt like those would. I was funny. I'm like, Robin, I just talked about this, and I've been on several committees to hire people, but to be the person being interviewed, and it was the same thing. I'm like, I do not want them to think I am an idiot.
No, there's nothing worse.
I want to leave the interview feeling good. And at least, here's the thing, even if I hadn't gotten the job, I wanted to walk away going, you did all that you could. There's just somebody that's not for you. And so, I printed off a lot of questions, went through it numerous times. And I had told Robin that when we had the interview, it was actually a snow day. And so thank you, committee, for coming in. Because you just wait for the interview and wait.
Well, and the worst, let's talk about it. The worst part is the first interview was our first snow day.
Yes.
And I told her, I said, listen, it's going to be a snow day. And she's like, no. Well, then it got canceled.
Yes.
Then they rescheduled it.
Yes.
We got another snow day. We canceled, did another. It was several. And then finally they came in for a snow day. And listen, I love snow days, but I will tell you, I was the kind of friend, I felt itty bitty for her because of no interview. And every day I'd be like, so I'm guessing the interview's tomorrow. And then the next night I'd be like, I'm guessing the interview's tomorrow.
It was actually only delayed once, but it was about to be delayed twice. And I was like, you've got to be kidding. And taking it to the school board and all of those things. I'm like, we need to get this done so I can at least know what I'm doing in my life.
Yes.
All of to say, I was thinking like preparation is something that you have to do in an interview.
Yes.
You go and find the questions. You go through
practice. And honestly, reach out. Like I know you reached out to other tech librarians to see what it was like, what the thing is. Like there's a lot of things. Now I do want to also say, because we talked about new beginnings.
Yes.
If you try for a job that you think you're meant to be and don't get it, don't be discouraged because it's just not your timing or God has something out there. Because I think about that because, we just interviewed that new position and we interviewed, honestly, like
you guys
outstanding
you had great candidates.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And honestly, every one of them could have done a great job. And I just don't want people to try for a job and not get it and think, oh, I wasn't good enough or I'm not, it wasn't in God's timing. Yeah. And that's okay. He has something better out for you. Or you have a purpose to still be in that classroom. There might be a class next year that's meant for you, a child that's meant to be in your classroom for that year. And so I just don't want you to be discouraged when you have prayed about it and you tried it, it did not work out. Just know that God has something better for you.
Yeah.
And it's just not your timing. And it doesn't mean that you're not as good as the other person or that you're not qualified or that it's just not in God's timing. So I think that's a good reminder.
Because I think sometimes we also feel at peace and feel like it's the right thing to do. And then it doesn't work out. And then we start questioning ourselves.
Yes.
But I think that, our positivity comes out in all of this. Because I'm like, there's things that you can learn from that.
Oh, 100%.
Because I sat there in being interviewed and thought, I'm doing everything that I can. I feel like, but if this isn't the right thing, it's not the right thing. And you are 100% right. I was thinking about the kids, that I would have in the future. And that's also okay. Yeah. It's okay to, and it's kind of what we're talking about with just learning lessons with worry and all of those pieces. God uses every experience, every obstacle, every feeling, he uses all of that. And it can be for his glory. And you're probably going to have a time when somebody else is going to go through those same things.
And sometimes God's going to say no.
Yeah.
He is. And even though we think it is, sometimes and that's okay.
Yeah, that is.
Well, we are so excited for you. I really am. I'm excited. I'm glad that you finally got your interview.
And I can tell people.
I know.
I will also say that I've really appreciated how people have responded. Like I've had a lot of people come up and really excited for me, and we were talking earlier about one of our coworkers, and just like genuinely happy.
Yeah.
Like when people are genuinely happy for you, it just makes you your heart feel good about all of those things.
Well, I think that goes back to what we talk about, why community is a school community is so important, because when you have a good sense of community, they want what's best for you. And when they see you got what's best for you and you were the right person for that, you can't help but be happy for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's really important too. All right. Well, I kind of feel like we've been preaching the whole time today.
Preach it, sister, preach it.
But I just have a quick little thing that I actually had planned on doing today, but I feel like it's perfect. I saw a post from it's called the My Jesus Jam, but it said, once a man asked, "What do you gain by regularly praying to God?" The man replied, "Nothing. But let me tell you what I lost: anger, ego, greed, depression, insecurity, and fear of death. Sometimes the answer to our prayers is not gaining, but losing, which ultimately is the gain." So I just thought that was such a thing about how important your prayer life is and praying, because sometimes we don't always get what we think what we're praying for, but we lose a lot of things, and we've been carrying a lot of baggage that disappears when you're constantly in prayer. So it's just a reminder, as change comes up, as things are kind of changing, spend some time in prayer. Prayer where God puts the right people in your life, and the right kids for next year, the right position where you're supposed to be, the people that are coming into your building. You may not be leaving, but those people that are filling those positions of people leaving, that God sends the right people for them to make your community great. And so it's just a great reminder on that. So
a good one. Love it.
All right. Well, guess what? It's good to see you back. I'm so happy for you. And you know what? This is Listen.
Teacher Chatter.
This is Robin.
And Jill.